So I'm going to start trying to put out just smaller, simpler videos to try and just sort of share things that are going on and what goes on in my head as I go about my day. So I thought I'd make a video for y'all today about observation, which is one of the biggest principles of permaculture and one of the reasons why I'm glad that I've taken my time to make big changes on the homestead. And if you want to know one of the best times to observe your landscape, it is in the rain. And as you can probably see, we've got lots of it today. So let's go see what we can see. All right, one of the first things I notice here is this puddling by our driveway. I've noticed this before. I have a hard time deciding what to do about that. Look at that one. In the future, I hope to do a little bit of kind of guttering, maybe even sort of how people do like those, what do they call them, those little energy catchment water things, to try and direct this water a little bit more towards where our garden area will go. But I gotta say, I'm really surprised because, get away from the loud road. You think you can tell what's going on in a landscape just by looking at it. When the rain comes, that's when you can really tell. There are several places on my house that don't have gutters. I didn't even realize that was a thing. But it doesn't. Check out that mess. It's another one of those rain catchment things when we get that all figured out that I want to do, because it just seems like a bad idea to not have gutters. Ugh. Wet, soggy grass. What is that sound? If you hear the sound of monkeys back here, no, it's not monkeys. It's our Spitzalbens, which sound a lot like a monkey. If you didn't know that, I didn't know that. You can kind of see our yard slopes back away from the house, which is really nice, especially since the house will be our primary rain catchment. I plan on making sort of tiered, oh dear, here's my finger, tiered gardens on contour. This is the part back here that gets really disgusting. All the water just pools, gets soaked and wet and gross. Our poor chicken yard gets very wet. Maybe that's why we've had trouble with Coccidia. I'm working on that too. But you can see part of the main problem with that. We have another area here. Where is it? No gutters! Why? Why, I ask you? Oh, hey friends. How you doing? You can see just how much water pools up here. Let me take you around the back of the barnyard and I'll show you where the water goes. This right here is the low point, which is a little ironic because down here further south, it actually sort of slopes away, but there's enough of a dip right here. This is exactly where all the water congregates. I'm sorry, friends, I did not bring you any more food. You can go back to your dry, sheltered space. Now, the permaculturists ask themselves, how can we work with nature instead of against it? Oh, Hunter, you're starting to crow. But yeah, so I asked myself, what do I do with a space like this? Couple of options. I've considered actually sealing it and making it a real pond. Something about keeping chickens in when it kind of goes through the fence. I don't know. I'm on the fence about that. Ha! Literally. The other option is plant things that love water. So my actual leading idea right now is to plant a weeping willow, which is one of my absolute favorite trees. Loves water and creates great forage and just extra bulk mass for all kinds of things. Basket weaving, just covering the ground, feeding to animals, goats if we ever get them. Plus, Willows also help things root. So if you ever trying to root out plants, you can use willow in with the water to make willow water, which helps encourage things to put out roots. Part of me feels bad for them, but then I remember that they're chickens. Definitely need to get a lot more mulch out here though. Maybe try and channel the water a little different. I really am not in a rush to do rainwater catchment just because we get so much rain here. If you don't know, I live in Raleigh, North Carolina, and we get pretty much an inch of water a week year round, almost 46 inches of rain a year, and we don't really have a dry season. So we get a lot of water here. What I worry about more with rainwater catchment is how to direct the deluge as it comes down. And just how to keep our ground from being saturated all the time. Plus just passive watering of systems like gardens and such like that, which is why I want to do on contour garden beds. But the chickens, the water down here is definitely a problem, and something I wasn't planning on addressing this quickly, but now that I'm seeing all this rain and all this water buildup, I don't think I have much of a choice. So I think I might actually do something that Edible Acres in New York does. If you haven't subscribed to their channel, you definitely should, because they're geniuses. But they sort of go out with a shovel and just sort of watch the water and dig it out by hand. And it's incredible, the water systems they've built there entirely by hand, and how it sort of helped the water come to a specific point instead of keeping their whole landscape soggy. And back here down by the barn is definitely soggy. I hope to even plant a bunch of elders down here too, which will be excellent medicine for the chickens and for us. You know, in my spare time. I don't know if you guys can hear it. There's a couple of different roosters crowing, which I much prefer the sound of a crowing rooster than the sound of a barking dog or road noise or any of those other urban things we have to deal with. I don't know why cities outlaw roosters. Sure, they crow, but dogs bark, cars zoom and honk. But that one's Gamma. You can tell because he kind of does that on the end. It's funny, they actually do have like unique voices you don't really expect. But yeah, so let's think. What have we learned today? Well, kind of cheating. This isn't my first time walking through here in the rain, but this is my first winter here, and we do get a lot more, not voluminous of rain, but it just doesn't, the ground doesn't dry out because of the lack of sun and lack of heat. So, hey friends. Backyard flock. Yes, they do love the climbing dome. They probably use it more than my daughter does some days. But what have I learned? Water here is even more challenging than I thought. We have a lot more of it, and it needs dealing with. And there's one thing you learn as a farmer is that sometimes necessity makes things get done faster than you thought. So gutters, rain barrels, something. If you have ideas, let me know.